Heroes of Normandie has a second battle pack, the Battle for Caen, and we are going to play through a couple turns and show you the gameplay here today on Legendary Tactics. So Devil Pig Games has come up with a second battle pack for Heroes of Normandie, and this is a little glimpse here of the board. This is the first scenario, and I wanted to just do a little walkthrough here just to show you how it works. I also wanted to get a shot of all the components that are the sort of the backup components there on the far table. There's a lot of pieces in this game. But it's a really interesting design, and if you haven't heard of it before, if you haven't played it before, there are simpler scenarios if you buy the base game. This is the first scenario of the second battle pack, so it has a little bit more involved here. This is just an overview of the forces involved. You can see some cool weaponry and tanks and flamethrower vehicles and all sorts of neat stuff. And just looking at the opening hands, you have event cards that can be played as part of the gameplay, and these are the cards the Germans start out with, and we're going to show you the British cards here in a sec. Now, I'm playing this game solo. I'm essentially just playing both sides to the best of my ability, and I wasn't able to wrangle Cax for a playthrough yet, but we will be doing more coverage of this game in general, and give you a great sense of how it plays. This is the British cards there, so you can scan those, and this is an overview of the map, and you can see there's some ruined buildings and some buildings that are still intact, and various types of terrain to look at. There's really neat boards. They're modular boards that go together in various ways, and then you can put additional terrain on top to give it some variety, even more variety. And there's a bunch of terrain that the battle pack adds, including craters. Again, the ruined buildings as well are new, and a bunch of other terrain that aren't featured on this particular board. But just to give you an idea of where they are. Now, in the scenario, it mentioned that the Germans have two secondary objectives in those two buildings, which is how it starts out. But I didn't know if that made sense, because they can actually start in one of those buildings and claim one of those objectives. So I just pulled them off. I may be wrong on that rule, but if you know better, then please let me know in the comments down below and explain. And again, this is really, I haven't got a lot of experience with this game, so I may play it incorrectly. So please, if there's any rules that I mix up, then please put them in the comments so we can all learn from my mistakes and learn how to play this game better. So I'm just setting up. This is the building. You'll see that British symbol right in the middle. That's the main objective of the British Commonwealth faction. And I say British, but I'm actually pretty pleased that there's a Canadian faction. Being Canadian myself, it's nice to see Canada represented in a war game. So I'm just setting up the Germans. The Germans set up first, and I was thinking, well, let's put some guys in some buildings to the sides of the main building for flanking opportunities, and then a couple of strong units in the main objective building. Now, the British Commonwealth have to take that building ideally by, I think it's by turn 4, I believe, ideally, because some German reinforcements begin pouring in at I believe it's turn 3. So there's not a lot of time. The British start out very, very strong. As you can see, they've got some vehicles and a fair number of squads and weaponry, but they've got to move quickly in order to get into that building and sort of seize the opportunity before the Germans counterattack. And the Germans have some fortified counters. That's where you can boost the cover provided by the building itself, which is new in this battle pack. And you can see I've got bazooka guy there, And I'm just trying to set up I'll give you a snapshot of what the setup will be, or with the area where I'm able to set up, and you can see where what I'm up to here, why and how I'm placing where I am. And again, I don't know if this is the ideal setup. If I just am keeping my guys in cover, and as best I can, loading up grenades on the troops, just splitting them up and giving some options as far as firepower goes. One of the things that the Germans have available is almost like an artillery. It's an 88 in the back of the map that can see a good ways and can shoot a good ways and do a lot of damage. So it's something I need to be very conscious of. The only safety, if not in cover, is behind the building, directly behind what in squad leader would be called a blind hex. So there's some possibilities to hide, but at some point everyone's going to have to advance, and so I'm going to just have to do my best as far as this goes. So and again, hopefully just to overwhelm the enemy with a few too many targets. The British do have some artillery as well that can be used to level buildings or just cause general destruction, and so that's another weapon that they have. And just trying to look at the best setup here. There's some tactical bonuses as well. You can see that little cross item up there towards the top of the screen, and that's something that I figure would be good to grab as well. There's an anti-tank gun, and I'm going to keep that near the road. I think just trying to figure out the best balance as far as how to strike. And the buildings do provide a lot of cover. It's surprising how much cover those buildings give units. It's tough to root them out of there at the best of times. So I'm setting up here, again, just trying to build a balanced front. I'm not totally sure what I'm up to in this early game, but I figure, hey, as long as we get everyone in some sort of cover, it can't be a completely wrong move. So, and as well, as I said, there's a lot of targets, so it's not going to be easy to, to defend if they're overwhelmed with potential targets. Now, the game itself, the Battle Pack brings with it, there's a pretty decent chunk of rules that comes with it. In learning the game, I had to progress through the rules in the base game first, and that was fairly hefty. And then you add some other rules. They're not that complicated, but I did find there were some areas that I was a bit confused or had to look up. But overall, the rules are pretty well written and pretty good overall. This is just a snapshot of the setup, if you can see on your screen there just what things look like. We're going to take a look at the British cards again to see if there's any cards that can be used at the opening of the turn. There's nothing really, so we're going to get our action tokens here, which is based on the number of stars that are showing in their display there. And the German cards as well. Nothing really jumps out as being terrifically useful right out of the gate for either side. I mean, sure, if there's some suppression markers or something, or if the enemy gets close, sure, we can get them ready to assault. But other than that, nothing really jumps ahead. Now, normally you'd put the markers face down, or in the game you'd normally tilt them up to so that only you could see these numbers. But since we're doing a solo game, it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to place my bluff token. Doesn't really matter where. So I'm going to get my vehicles underway, and just take a few pot shots. Try out the fire system here and see if I can do some damage. The Germans only have a couple of those order tokens there, so but again, there's not a lot of units to order around, so there's only a handful. So they're going to just respond to the threat there posed by the Canadian troops across the way, and going to flip that over. And again, I'm flipping them over more for the gameplay. Sometimes when you play solitaire, it's kind of a fun way to do it, because if you don't recall exactly what the token is, then it can be a bit of a surprise there. Now this defense, that unit is 4, as is, and they're both fortified. That entire room is fortified, so that's +1. So I have to roll 6 here, and I just missed with a 5, so wasn't able to do any damage, unfortunately. But it was fairly low odds attack, as it turned out. So the German responds essentially with a similar attack in response, and misses completely. So again, I needed a similar roll. Now the ruins don't provide quite the same cover as the fully intact house. So technically, I could have taken a hit there on a 5 or 6, but it was fine. I was able to dodge that one, and so there's a bit of shooting back and forth, but some poor rolling means nothing really happens. So now I'm going to advance the vehicles. Now the Wasp is a flame-throwing vehicle, so I'd like to get that up there to the front, to the main objective, and see if I can't shoot some fire in through the windows. And I'm going to just drive it around, and you're able to turn 45 degrees like that every once per square. So I'm going to just move as far as I can, and advance right up to there, and hopefully I can maybe use the flamethrower next turn in some capacity, and hopefully the Germans are terrified there. Now the Germans have already done all their moves. There's just the bluff token left, so nothing much to say there. And my last active token, I'll just move it up here instead of rotating it around. That is my last move, and then there's the bluff. So that means there's nothing that actually happens there. So just looking at the board overall, now we can remove the bluff token, and any units that didn't have a token on them already that didn't activate can move and or shoot. Sometimes they can move and shoot if they've got that ability. But I'm just going to set up my mortar and my Bren gun there, just to potentially cover some fire lanes. And again, I'm kind of mucking around here in general. I can't condone any of my choices here as valid strategy, but I'm just hoping that I can give you an idea of the gameplay here, so you can get a sense of both the new scenario and some of the new things that come with the battle pack, as well as just the gameplay in general. I was unfamiliar with Heroes of Normandie, but I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity, thanks to Devil Pig Games providing me with a copy, to give this game a go and do more. We're going to do more playthroughs of it as we progress, as I get more familiar with it as well. So I figure we're just going to charge up here. There's no time to waste, so just move up as far as we can with everyone, and see how we do. Now I got to be careful with the leaders though, because the leaders have the stars, and even though they're good to have in combat, you don't want to lose them to you don't need your leaders to become a casualty, because that will hamper your game. So the bazooka, I figure, seeing what the reinforcements are on the German side, I'm gonna keep the bazooka back a little bit, just to make sure that we don't lose that unit to a lucky shot or anything like that. And so the bazooka rounds are available when the German vehicles turn up. But I can see already this is going to be a real dogfight. This is definitely not a there's not a lot of room to maneuver here. Now I'm going to shift this German infantry unit over, and I'm going to retreat these units back, mainly to get out of the way of the flamethrower, and also to put a bit of distance, maybe complicate the line of sight to hide those units a little bit better, make the Commonwealth troops have to advance maybe a bit further up than they would like to be, and we'll see if that is effective. Again, not necessarily condoning this as a strategy, but usually these, sometimes a strategic retreat can be the best move. And so we'll pull the tokens off here, and those go back into the pool. We'll check to see if there's any cards that apply for both sides, and look at the British cards. There isn't anything that really applies at this stage. We'll look at the German cards. Now, at the end of the turn, you are able to discard any cards you like and draw. So that one I didn't see coming up anytime soon, so I drew again. Of course, drew the same card, which is actually not that useful. And we pull our tokens back, and that's essentially the first turn. We flip the initiative over, so the Germans are the first to go this turn, and we move into turn 2. And so we'll look again at the German cards to see if there's any cards that are playable early. There isn't really anything of interest, so we pull the same number of tokens out again for the second turn, because nothing has really dramatically changed. And just looking at the board, I spot an opportunity for the German side. I'm going to place the first initiative token on the support spot, which is the 88 in the back. And we'll give the second opportunity to that unit, and then the bluff there, just because, just pretending that this is a real game. Just in case someone's worried, the Commonwealth soldiers will be afraid of a potential pot shot there. And so we want to get the Wasp into play and the other vehicle into play here as fast as possible. So that'll be my 1 and 2. And then number 3, looking to advance some of these troops here, potentially get into assault range, or potentially get into the target building at least. But we'll see how that goes. And we'll just throw the bluff on this on that unit there. So the first move is the support, and the 88 fires. We'll check line of sight here, and the line of sight is fine. So the roll, and the 88 fires with a 6, so that's 6 plus 1 is 7, and so the Wasp is destroyed, and it flips over and blows up. Now there's one icon on there, the little fireball there, that I'm not sure what it actually means. If you know what it means, I looked everywhere in the rules and online. I wasn't able to find it out. So if anyone knows what that little round fireball icon is on the left, and let me know in the comments, that'd be great. My other vehicle makes a bit of a run for it, gets in cover, at least safe from the 88, but not in the best position overall, but it is what it is. The German unit traces some lines of sight here and opts to go for that unit there. And we'll roll and see while that unit's in the open, and we get a pretty strong roll. That's a 5. That is enough to remove that unit from the board. We'll take him back to the squad here, and that squad is halfway to breaking now. So yeah, not very good. We're taking the Commonwealth are taking some casualties, and really haven't made enough progress in terms of getting into the target building. So we're going to advance that unit up into the trees to get set up for an assault next turn. The walls were kind of in the way, and there was a window there, but these units don't have urban fighting skills, so they have to go in through the door. which is unfortunate. But we're gonna see what we can do to get those men in position. And then there's my bluff, and I look at the cards. As the tea time card is great if there's a unit that's damaged, but since we lost the wasp, gives the Germans 3 victory points, and so that's unfortunate. And we remove the bluff token and of both sides, and now it's movement time. So I forgot the fortified counter should have stayed in that room. It's unique to the room within the house, and the Germans didn't have any moves, so the Commonwealth players just moving around here, and I accidentally moved the anti-tank gun twice, so I'm just going to move it back here. I wanted to, yeah. So anyway, the tactics tile though was the one thing that I am not sure how that works. We've captured 2 bonus tactics, but again, I couldn't find anything in the rules. I'm wondering if I missed something along the way, maybe in an expansion that I don't have, perhaps. But again, if anyone can explain that in the comments, that'd be helpful, because I did capture those tactics, and I'm not sure exactly where to find the results or whatever bonus I'm entitled to. So I'll find that out before I continue. It won't have mattered much in this game, just as far as the first couple turns are concerned, but you can see there's a couple of bonus tactics there that I've captured. So I'm just going to keep advancing, and again, just hoping to overwhelm my opponent with too many targets, and get everyone in position to start hopefully overwhelming the enemy. But you can see there's been some damage, and this is kind of where the Commonwealth position finishes up, and we'll pull off the tokens, and again for the German side as well, and put those aside. And you can see I put an activated token right below the 88 marker, the support marker. So you can only use the 88 3 times in the mission, as the British can only use artillery 3 times. So here's just an overview of the map from the side. So you can see the Commonwealth on the left and the Germans on the right, just to give you kind of an overview. We'll take another look at the cards to see if there's any that are worth discarding. And honestly, they're all great cards if they're units that get suppressed or whatever. So it's kind of tough to decide on one to discard. But I think in the end, I'm going to discard this one, and I'm going to just see what other cards are available. And I end up with Bogged Down, which actually could be interesting. It allows me to stop a German unit from advancing. And then on this side, obviously, I've got 2 ready cards, so I'm going to discard one of those and see if I can get anything different, at least, hopefully better, for this situation. And that is pretty good. It gives us an extra star, so that is get an extra numbered order token, which is great. And then we flip the initiative and move the turn marker up. And so I'm going to just pause here and once again just give you an overview of the board and how things ended up. And anyway, I hope this little walkthrough gave you a good idea of how the game plays. It seems to be a really solid tactical game, and very interesting challenges, very interesting decision making here. So I'll be continuing this mission shortly, and we hope you please like and subscribe in the meantime. Thanks for watching. This is Legendary Tactics.